I wanted to talk briefly today about surrogate decision makers. Hi, I'm Chelsea, the palliative PA, and I got a question about surrogate decision makers. Essentially, the question was asking, how long is a surrogate decision maker good for? So I feel like this is a complicated question, and I want to step back just a little bit to explain. So surrogate decision maker, what does that actually mean? It essentially is just saying, this is the person that is going to make decisions for you if you are unable. So if you are confused or you're in a state that you are unable to make your own decisions, who is going to help make those healthcare decisions for you? When we talk about healthcare POA, healthcare agent, healthcare proxy, all of those things fall under the umbrella of surrogate decision maker. So how do we know who's who? Okay, so if you name a healthcare power of attorney, that is you naming who do I want to make my medical decisions if I am unable. And that should be in a legal document or at least a medical document. If you do not have a healthcare power of attorney, so if you don't have that document with lined out who you want it to be, the law tells us who your decision maker should be. So for example, in Pennsylvania, we have the PA hierarchy of decision makers. And this essentially says, who do we turn to if there's no paperwork telling us who should make your healthcare decisions? So in Pennsylvania, number one is we turn to your spouse and children from a prior relationship, which is kind of strange, but it is what it is. So number two is then your current children, and so on and so forth. For example, if your spouse has passed on before you and you have 4 children, we look to all 4 children equally. So if you have one of those children who you think would make better decisions for you, then you need to do that document and name that child as your decision maker, because otherwise all 4 of your children are going to be called and looked at equally and have to come up with a consensus decision. Another situation that happens is sometimes, say, our patient comes into the hospital and names their daughter Susie as their decision maker. So Susie is going to be my decision maker if I become confused. At least in Pennsylvania, that verbal mention that Susie is going to be the decision maker only carries through this hospitalization. So once you walk out those doors and go back home, Susie is no longer the decision maker unless you put it in writing. So this is why it's so important to put this stuff in writing. Now, if it is in writing, it is essentially followed by your healthcare team until it changes or it is revoked. So if you come in and say, oh gosh, no, my son was not making good decisions for me last time. I named him previously, but I want to change it to my daughter. Then we actually have to go in, we need to revoke the old document, sign a new one, and replace it in your chart. So this can absolutely happen. But essentially, unless it's changed, then that document is binding until death, essentially. Is that helpful? If you guys still have questions, let me know. Save this for later to come back to, and as always, follow along for more.